Oh, I'd not gone live. Now I'm live. I think we're going to definitely do that. I will redo that countdown, ladies and gentlemen. I shall redo it. Are you ready? Let's go. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, what we're waiting for, what we've been waiting for. We're just going to be having this conversation. And of course, it's going to be an amazing one. I was having a pre-show gist with my guy, with my G, my brother, Fidelis, and we're just going to have some amazing time today. I'm telling you, it's going to be an amazing time. I tell you. Okay. I'm just going to give us 2 minutes, and then we're going to pop up. Just 2 minutes. We're going to pop up. I'm just going to play this song. Yes, set the mood, get some energy. Oh, this is daydreaming. No, I don't want to daydream. Nah, sounds very daydreamish. I want something that'll make us pop. Let's pop it. Let's pop it. Let's pop it. Gonna pop. Yes. Where's the sound? Come on, play. That's it. Come on. That's it. Let's go. Aha. Energy. Yes. Let's go. Wherever you are, put your hands together. Make some noise. Woo! Yes. Aha. Come on. Aha, that's the song. That's the beat right there. Yeah. Come on. Okay. Beautiful. Okay. All righty. Yes. Now that I've gotten energy, we are ready. Are you ready for us? Yes, I'm ready for you. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we've got in the house. Vitalis is in the house. And my brother is ready for us. It's going to be an amazing time tonight, ladies and gentlemen. I tell you, it's going to be an amazing time. So first up, we're going to play Fidelis. We're going to be playing his profile. And once we do that, the next voice you will hear is that of Fidelis himself. So let's go.
Language learning professional with over 11 years of experience, specializing in human capital development and strategy. At a functional level, Fidelis is adapted at people and talent development, L&D, instructional design, program implementation, coaching, consulting, training, human-centered design thinking, as well as being a certified career and life purpose coach. Notably, he is recognized as the personal development nerd, bringing a comprehensive skill set to foster inclusive, high-performing teams. Fidelis' journey in the field of people strategy and leadership development span years of cutting-edge solution, during which he has made a significant impact by consulting, designing, and implementing transformative learning programs for organizations across industries. His expertise encompasses international non-profit, private companies, startup, and the public sector. On his mission to help individual and organization reach their highest potential, Fidelis excel in designing and implementing high-impact leadership program. His focus is on building the leadership capacity of emerging professionals and organizations, accelerating workforce upskilling, and fostering organizational growth. Fidelis has a proven track record in designing, planning, implementing, and evaluating inclusive human capital development program funded by esteemed organizations such as the US. In his role as a consultant, he collaborates with social impact organizations and businesses, leveraging his extensive experience to develop tailored approach that ensure effective results. His dedication to learning and inclusive leadership development has earned him numerous awards and fellowship from world-class organizations. Among others, Fidelis is a 2015 Cannes Montana Leadership Fellow, Switzerland 2017, Toyi Elumelu's Foundation Entrepreneur 2019, Obama's Foundation International Program Fellow, Washington, D.C. 2019 U.S. Department of State Alice Corp Fellow, Washington, D.C. 2020 Distinguished Fellow of the Aspen Institute for Social Innovation and Philanthropy, Denver, Colorado. 2020 Delegate to the World Bank Youth Summit, New York. 2020 Delegate to the United Nations General Assembly, New York. 2020 UNDP Youth Economy Policy Consultant. 2021 Africa COIMAT Fellow, Germany. 2023 Awardee, Thought Leadership in Learning and Development, Europe. 2023 LinkedIn Top Voice in Personal Development. More importantly, Fidelis is a hungry and unrepentant lifelong learner, a die-hard optimist, and a career leader with an unwavering commitment to internal value. For him, it's all about the value that creates and scales sustainable impact. He consistently lives by the mindset of impact and legacy beyond time. His ultimate goal is to inspire standout performance in individuals and organizations, democratize life transformating opportunities, and unlock the native journey of high potential individuals.
All right. So, yes, I think I don't know what happened, but definitely we are good to go. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you live. I'm telling you, when I was here in Washington, D.C., New York, Germany, all those, I was like, okay, we are ready to go. Oh, the next voice you're going to hear, ladies and gentlemen, with a lot of joy, a lot of clapping, Vijay, it's good to have you. It's good to have you, bro. It's good to have you. Welcome.
Thank you very, very much. Can
Yes,
you hear me? Please confirm if you can hear me and
it's
see
good to
me.
have you. How are you doing? Your mic is muted, so yeah, so we can't hear you.
Okay, how is it now? Is it better?
Yes.
Oh, good,
Definitely, we
good,
can hear you.
excellent. Thank you very much. Thank you for
Oh
having me,
yeah,
Dr.
definitely we can hear you
Triple A.
live. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you. How are you? How have you been?
Well,
How's How's
I'm
it
very
been?
well. Thank you very much. It's such a pleasure to be here. I mean, the truth
Can you
about the
hear me?
matter
I
is
said, how have you
that's,
been?
I can hear you, but I want to be sure you can hear me so that we don't have a lot of lagging. I can hear you, but it looks like there's a lag in the sounds. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, in the sound. Okay, yeah. I think I understand what you're saying now. I understand what you're saying now. All
Yeah.
right, beautiful. That's good. That's good. So I'm just going to just let you take over. Let me just hand over to you. And you want me to start your slide immediately, or you want to say some things before we
Thank you
start?
very much. It's such a pleasure to be here, Dr. Triple A. Happy birthday to you, the whole universe. I don't know. I won't call it World Dr. Triple A's Day, but I think it's World Dr. Triple is week. The whole week has been for me. I think it's your whole week. And as much as we want to be very conservative about this. Dr. Triple A, you are a nation builder. You're a legend. You are the leader of leaders. And when I saw this invite, for me, it's been a great honor, to be honest. And from way back, as
Wow.
it's been, it's always been a pleasure to be at your side, to work with you as a senior colleague, as a friend. And the fact that we have the opportunity to even be on the platform with great minds, it's such a pleasure. I feel so honored, so grateful, and so appreciative of your continuous impact. This for me is not something I take for granted. I really appreciate it, and thank you so much for again doing this, because I always tell people, as far as you stay hungry, you would always be fed, and as far as you don't belefu, you will consistently
Yeah.
have more than enough to eat. You are that shepherd who consistently creates the platform, the portfolio, right? And the people to consistently feed others. And I, on behalf of many other people, just want to say thank you. I really celebrate you. I honor you. And I celebrate everybody who has celebrated with you as well. And all the great speakers who have spoken. I have learned so much. Oh my goodness. I feel like, as I say, the power of your network, determines your net worth, not just in terms of money, in terms of income, impact, and influence. And therefore, I think that you are such a rich man, and your wealth is not just in money, is in legacy, is in the impact and the lives that you have taught and the great things you are doing. So cheers to more years of impact, income, and influence, and well done, sir. Well done.
Thank you very much. I'm so humbled. I mean, if you could see me literally, I think I'm blushing, but my skin color is not showing. But thank you. Okay, so yeah, the floor is yours. Thank you so much. The floor is yours. Yes.
Okay, so good. I will in the interest of the presentation for today, I would make this really as much as possible, as quick as possible. I know that there's a limited time. And thank you very much, Doctor. Again, I don't know why well, I would say you kept the best for the last. But I want to first and foremost let everybody know that today's session, my session, is going to be very short, brief, as no, deep and brief. All right. We're going to make sure that we go straight to the point. We're going to make sure that we attack the main issue here, unpack
Yeah.
some of the conversations around this, and see how we can honestly connect people to global opportunities through the concept I'm going to be teaching. So it's such an honor to be here, and I'm really grateful, and thank you very much for this. So again, the topic that was, I would say the topic anyway, the topic I thought that might be very interesting to some of our listeners and to the people that are listening today, is what I count as accessing global opportunities through social entrepreneurship, right? I leverage on impact entrepreneurship, but I wanted to break it down because impact entrepreneurship is huge, right? But I thought that one way we can go about this is to leverage social entrepreneurship as a vessel to catapult people to accessing global opportunities. So um, let me make sure this slide can move from where it is. If that's okay, good. So, for the sake of context, the content for our conversations briefly is going to be one, you're going to have a bit of background. I feel like you've known a lot about me based on that portfolio. That is a lot. And I'm being honest, I feel like it's possible that I may not be able to do justice to what you saw there, but I will try. I will try. That is the story of God's faithfulness, right? Whatever it is you see on that bio is a story of God's faithfulness. But in my little capacity, I will try and give you some context into how that journey unraveled. And maybe that can inspire somebody out there that you can also see yourself in my journey. And you can see that as a means to be inspired to also go for that which you really desire. So I'll give a bit of background into myself. Then we'll go quickly into the mindset of a social entrepreneur. There have been a lot of mindset coaching that has happened in the course of this BOC conference, and I think that I won't. Again, I'm not going to take us off hook. I think I would also maintain that journey. We're going to talk a bit about the significance of social impact in businesses and how to leverage global platforms and accelerators to how to leverage these platforms and use your social impact initiative to catapult yourself. We're going to talk a bit into the benefit of leveraging them. We're going to talk a bit about grants and funding because some of these I have been part and parcel of. I know what goes in there. I have had the opportunity to receive a couple of grants, a couple of fellowships, so I know what happens there. A bit of tips and strategies on how to go about it. We're going to give us just a sneak peek into how to build a sustainable business model, one or two case study if time permits, and doxology, which is basically wrapping up and all of that. I hope that is a good workflow, Dr. Triple A.
Oh yes, oh yes, oh yes, oh yes. Give.
Excellent, excellent. So I will start off by saying, first and foremost, just a bit to give a bit of context about me, and again, just to put a face to what we have read. Um, my name is Fidelis, and I'm very particular about that name. Fidelis is a name that represents God's faithfulness. So I'm someone who strongly believes in the God factor. Now, sometimes my friends ask me, Fidelis, are you a faithful person? Because the word Fidelis literally means faithful, you know. But what I tell people is that I have been a beneficiary of God's faithfulness. But that also comes with some burden, right? It comes with some results, it comes with some responsibilities. And therefore, throughout my life, I have consistently had the why question. For some people, they live their lives with the what, some others, they live their lives with the what, the how. I am a why person. Why am I here? What exactly is the goal on this earth? What are we supposed to do right on this earth? What are the mission statements for our lives? What are the vision statements for our lives? What are the objectives? What are the KPIs for our lives? So I see myself as the CEO of my life. And therefore, based on that concept of myself, I consistently have been driven with a passion to unlock human potential. I believe that at the core of everything, there are three things that really define people and changes people's life, define them and changes their lives. One, the people they meet, the places they go, and the books they read. Someone said, if you can't meet people, if you can't get to great places, you can read books. For me,
Mm,
I found the greatest discovery when I started reading a lot of books. And
mm,
therefore, that journey sparked something in me. And again, there are many ways you can get to discover yourself. But I realized that for me, the best way I could begin to find some significant meaning and purpose to my life was when I spent quality time in the study, not just of science, physics, and chemistry. I will talk about that in a bit, but in the study of the most important things in life, which for me was my mind, my heart, and my soul. All through my journey, I have consistently asked the question, how can we unlock human potential so that
mm.
human potential can be very, very tapped into, harnessed, and deployed for the ultimate goodness of humanity and, of course, the universe? So, therefore, I have journeyed through my whole life consistently looking for ways to do that. The journey that has led to that is what has made me today become a human capital development strategist. And that involves a combination of helping, people and organizations with the skills, the resources, the processes, the platforms, right? To build capacity that helps their people, their organizations to not just perform excellently well, but to be very, very successful, to be significant, and to create legacy. My human capital development project ranges from education, health, and of course, corporate leadership. So I'm consistently looking for ways to design and implement high impact solutions to corporates and social development problems. At the core of what makes me very unique as a person is the fact that I am always building systems for significance. So while a lot of people are building systems for personal development, systems for business growth, which is good, which is probably the reason why we're here, systems for so many things, the way I think about life is we need to think about how to succeed, but how to make sure that our success equals to significance. And therefore, um, we can't afford to be successful unless we have built the necessary frameworks to make that happen. Therefore, for me, I'm always looking for ways to build consistent, sustainable systems that makes you and I not just successful, but also very significant. Um, I grew up in Ibadan for the sake of context. I was born and bred in Ibadan, but Omo Igbo ni mi. All right. So what that means is I am a full bred, born and buttered Nigerian. Um, I had my background way back in Ibadan. I had the opportunity to to connect with a lot of people, but my background has been more of around social impact development, and I think that was how my journey started. I started more volunteering with many communities, helping to support projects, interning in school. Back in university, I was the class captain for 4 good years. I joined the Rotary Club, joined the UN Development Youth Club, and all of these things began to catalyze me for service and more importantly for development. So in the course of doing all of that, I began to find more meaning, more fulfillment, and more purpose in the work I did. But what one of the core things that made me very, very excited about that journey is the fact that I consistently had the opportunity to use my knowledge to help people. So I went into training and development. Then we didn't even know that's what it was called. All I did was I always facilitated workshops. I created spaces where people had healthy conversations. Right. I provided opportunities for other young people to express themselves. So for me, I've always been very concerned and connected with the developmental problems, and that's why today I thought that it's good for us to not just focus on the hardcore profitable business. Thank you very much for the last speaker who talked about culture and building people. That actually is the secret to the success of most businesses, but people don't talk about that. People are always thinking about the profits, the profit, the profit. But for me, because I've had a lot of background in the social impact space and the nonprofit space, I have seen how human capital can be greatly harnessed, can be used not just into making impact, but making great income. My core, at the core of what I do, is to make sure that I build systems that help people and organizations not just to be successful, but to be significant. Now, I would like to quickly go into the topic, and maybe this topic would also help to create the framework for us to understand how best to use this concept of social entrepreneurship to go global. Yeah, this is Business Owners Conference, yes, but there are ways we can, make you become not just business conscious, but impact conscious, so that when you add the two together, you position yourself as somebody who is very much relevant for the global environment. So I thought that social entrepreneurship is actually one little gap that may probably not be used or may not be oftentimes addressed or even researched, but which has been a critical success factor for many entrepreneurs in Nigeria. And my hope is also to give us, some examples of how that is possible, and how that has leverage to create opportunities for so many other people out there. A couple of my friends which I even know one on one. Social entrepreneurship basically is simple. You understand that there's a social problem in the community, and you develop a business model around it and solve it, not just in a bid to make profits, but in a bid to make impact. So this session is just going to be about how to leverage social entrepreneurship, how you can use in fact, not just social engineering, social entrepreneurial mindsets to develop your business in such a way that it makes you, one, tick the impact metric, tick the income metric, and tick the legacy metric. I have realized that some of the greatest businesses are not those that are focused so much on money and profit. That is naturally a reward for excellent delivery of value. Therefore, social entrepreneurship is well positioned to help that happen. But why is this particularly important for most of us? I would guess that a good number of us here are Africans and maybe Nigerians. Let me assume that, right, Dr. Triple A? I'm guessing that that's the
Yeah,
case. Good.
yeah,
And therefore, we as the global South people, what they call the third world countries, sub-Saharan African people, our problems are unique and very, very, very distinguished from the problems of the first world and the global north. It's very important to understand that. So the concept of going global needs to be contextualized so that you know how best to leverage it and how people are doing it. I appreciate all the speakers that have come to speak today, and we have, been given a lot of information, a lot of mindset resetting, a lot of knowledge and information. But I think that one key thing we need to begin to think about is how we can actually devise systems that solve systemic problems connected to our communities that helps us therefore to create value that is now exported to the global markets in such a way that when it's exported to the global markets, we are not just paid in terms of income, we are also paid in terms of recognition, um, jack buying, if that's what you want, global awards, and fellowship. That has been my story. The main goal of a social entrepreneur is lasting social change using business model. As I said, the impact that oftentimes has is one on the social environment, the cultural landscape, and the environmental milieu. I'll take that again. You're a social entrepreneur if your business, initiative, company, enterprise, church, book, podcast, just name it, is helping to address a social, cultural, and environmental problem. Now, this may be a bit this might not be one of the conventional ways of going about building a business, but it has worked for many people, and I want us to start thinking in this line. For some of us, we probably have heard this concept, but I want to reintroduce it, especially for those who have not taken the time to think about their business model, or those who are even trying to start up a new business, to start and begin to think about using and leveraging social entrepreneurship as a means to pivot their business and again begin to attract opportunities that takes you global. Now, for the sake of context, there is one man who came up with the context of the concept of social entrepreneurship. His name is Professor Muhammad Yunus, right? Um, he well, the truth is, social entrepreneurship has been around for a while, but he came and popularized it. His vision was that everyone, including you and I, has the potential to be an entrepreneur, and that we all should have access to financial resources that can enable the poor to become sufficient and contribute to economic and social development. One of the and not to belabor and try to whine about this, but we know that the crux of the leadership of the problems we have in Africa is connected to both leadership and poverty. Leadership and poverty. And one thing I have oftentimes realized is that the casualties of bad leadership are always the poor masses. Therefore, what this concept does is it empowers the middle class, the lower class, to be self sufficient so that they can actually live self independent lifestyle and they can be useful and productive members of the society. Now, the idea of social entrepreneurship is not just a business model, it's a mindset. I like the fact that many of us has touched on the importance of problem solving, but I'm going to touch more on it in a very systemic and strategic way. A lot of us might not even believe that this is actually the number one single most important model we need to adopt in our businesses, in our enterprises, even in our nonprofits. So when we're free, take the time to to research about this man. He was given a Nobel Peace Prize for this particular concept he came up with, because it helped to transform many businesses, many enterprises, and many corporate organizations out there. Now, the question is often that, and again, for the sake of our audience, the question is this for me? How does this relate with anything? I don't know if this is something that I want to leverage on. Yes, it's for you. If you're a business owner or you're about to start a business, social entrepreneurship is for you. One of the core benefits is the fact that when you start thinking social entrepreneurially, you will have access to new markets that people oftentimes have overlooked. You would have a system of innovation that helps you pivot your products and services in a way that solve problems that are relevant to the market and to the society. And of course, it positions you for profit making. I would say revenue, but you will make profit, of course. This is also a good framework for entrepreneurs, people who are very particular about solving problems, but who want to use a particular way, a model to do that. And what this does is, of course, as we know, there are many great entrepreneurs in the world, but what this does is it aligns your passion and connects it with profit. There are so many businesses today that, the founders are detached from the passion. They're just there to make money. They are not there because they're really passionate about it. Social entrepreneurship would position you as an entrepreneur to make sure that your passion is connected to your profit, and it leads to your ultimate fulfillment, which of course, is the highest, most fulfilling reward for anybody who goes into business. Profits, passion, and fulfillment. This is also a model that non-profit professionals or NGO professionals can leverage to not just tweak their social impact projects and programs, but to help them develop a sustainability mechanism around how to continuously make impact, make income, and have influence. It's a model for thought leaders. We have had a lot of thought leaders today, and I think that at the core of what we do, some of us are already even using the model without knowing it, right? So I'm very happy that we there is an introduction into it, even though it is covert. What this does is it gives you the ability to influence policy, influence decision making, influence lives, inspire people to action. And of course, as we know, the general model is when you know, empower people, they will say thank you. And of course, that comes through either rewards such as money, influence, fame, awards, accolades, and just name all of that, right? For corporate professionals, those who are doing 9 to 5, it's also an opportunity for you to think about how best to use your job as a means to impact the society in a more sustainable way, because that is oftentimes what gives you the highest level of recognition at your workplace. Your ability to add value, your ability to impact others, your ability to create, creative solutions to systemic problems. And one thing I've learned is that for most people who always think about the social entrepreneurial angle to their jobs, they always oftentimes have a great brand reputation within the workplace. I am one. I've seen this worked. I've seen it happen to a lot of my friends, and I see how that oftentimes has distinguished us from every other person. Now, for students, for interns, and for volunteers, for people who have not even started, who are just studying, if you start now to think about, the importance of social entrepreneurship, you see the world differently. You begin to think about how best to leverage your knowledge, the things you have, to empower the world, basically. Real world experiences, skill development, it's an opportunity for you to begin to tap into that space. So there's a space for you. And again, for clerics, because sometimes people are like, yeah, I pastor a church, I don't see how this is going to be relevant. It is relevant because to sustain a people and to administer the church and to make sure that everything is in place, you need to be able to have a great model that makes that happen. So what this does is it brings your faith to action, helps with your community impact projects, and of course maintain revenue. um, Let me say here, and again, I only talked about the social entrepreneurial opportunity and how we can begin to leverage it as a way to appetize us for what is coming ahead. Please take the time out to just think about one core problem you want to solve or you want to be known for in the world. And I say that because I'm a practical person. I believe in mindsets. I believe in inspiration, but I also believe in practical thoughts and practical approaches to solving problems. I have realized that the greatest opportunity that you can have anytime, any day, is to serve other people on a global scale. That is the greatest opportunity anybody can have. And the beauty and the reward about service is that every time you make yourself available, it's as though the universe knows what you're doing and it creates opportunities for you. I tell people, if you are not paying money, you will pay attention. But the reverse is this: when you pay for a service, right, and you do not in any way contribute to the development of the service, something happens. You become a consumer and not a creator. I'll take that again. When you pay for a service and you are not part of the process of the creation, you are merely a consumer and not a creator. The highest person who gets the highest level of dividend for any product and service is always the person who is on the productive side of the economy. One thing I have always told people is when you are thinking about how to make money, think about service. That is the rule. And that is the legacy for most great people, from Steve Jobs, Malcolm X, who probably went to the civil rights movement, um, President Barack Obama, who went into public policy, Steve Jobs, of course, in the tech space. Just name it. Anybody who is anybody, think about what made them distinguished. We're going to go into, have some examples of some of these people who did this. What was that thing that made them really unique? The fact that they understood the arts and the science of service. And these are the benefits that comes with it in the context of our conversation. When you're able to leverage social entrepreneurial thinking into your business model, you have access to fellowships, exchange programs, international business and investments, conferences and summits, scholarships, grants and funding, full time jobs abroad, even permanent residence, and accelerator and incubator programs. But these are just a few amongst the many things you can have. For the sake of time, I don't want to go into what each of this looks like, but basically, these are all opportunities for you to scale your project, scale your business, and even scale your impact on a global level. Now, the question oftentimes is, so how do I begin to think about developing a social enterprise, right? What are the things I need to do to start doing this? For those who have already done it, the question will be, how can I improve, pivot my model in such a way that it gives me the necessary tools, the necessary result to begin to make the kind of impact I want to make the kind of income I want to make the kind of influence I want to make. I always tell people the number one most important superpower of a social entrepreneur to go global is one thing. All right. This picture talks about Wakanda. Everybody, I always tell everybody, yeah, this Black Panther, everybody has a superpower. We don't need to go into what it means for you to, discover your identity, your gift, your talent, your purpose, and all of that. That's a whole conversation for another time. But one thing I can always tell people is that everybody has a native genius. Your native genius is not connected to your accents, is not connected to your skin color, has nothing to do with your gender. It comes with you as a person. We all have that superpower. For some, it's more than one, right? For you to really go global, for me, the number one most important superpower that you need to develop, whether you have it or not, and I'm going to reveal it in a second because I think that everybody has it, right? But you need to pay serious attention to it because that is oftentimes the overlooked aspect of this whole matrix. It is the single most important, thing you need to consider. If there is nothing you're taking out of this conference, please think about this number one thing. It is the act of solving problems and creating value. I know this has been over nuanced, it has been repeated, you've heard it many times. And sometimes I think that is the danger of overemphasizing things, right? There's a tendency for us to forget that the most important thing that is most relevant on earth right now is the ability to identify your life's problem or your society's problem, solve it, and create value with that. That's it. Every other thing you're doing outside of that is connected to this. If you're a writer, you're trying to solve a problem around knowledge, right? If you're a speaker, you're trying to probably build the confidence of people's inadequacies. If you're a medical doctor, you're solving health challenges, right? If you're a teacher, you are helping with ignorance. At the core of it, our life's call, our businesses, our enterprises, everything is surrounded around identifying specific problems and creating value out of it. And that's why I was very happy about the last speaker who really hinged on the importance of solving problems, right? And I think many of the speakers have emphasized that. But I think that we don't hit this thing enough, and therefore people don't see it. The number one most important superpower that you can develop is the ability to be a problem solver in your industry, in your marketplace, in your space, whatever it is. If you're an excellent problem solver, people will pay you money. People will look for you. Jobs will be there for you. You know, there'll be people would be looking for you because you solve a problem in an excellent way. Now, the beautiful thing about solving a problem is the fact that when you solve that problem, and I'm going to walk us through the metrics of problem solving because it's a metrics itself, it's a skill set that people need to develop. But sometimes people just assume that they know how to solve problems, right? Because again, it's a whole analysis. There's like problem analysis, it's a whole journey. But I'll give us the basic metrics on how to go about it so that we can now begin to think about life from a place of problems as opportunities and as a means, yeah, to drive value. 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 That's another keyword that we need to, emphasize here. Value. What is value? There is there are so many ways to define value, right? But the first fruits of solving a problem is the value you create. A value could be anything that is beneficial either to you, to the organization, to the people that you employ, to a community, something that benefits people in some way. Right. There are economic value, there are spiritual values, right? There are financial values, there are moral values, whatever it is that helps you feel empowered, whatever it is that benefits you at some level, you are actually creating value. When you're empowering people, whatever that looks like, whether through speaking, writing, product, or service, you are creating value for them. But that value solves a problem. And to break it down the more, it actually not just solve a problem, it solves a pain point. And that is the power, you know, of problem solving. I tell people, as much as you want to, think about yourself, think about the fact that the world right now is built around people who have solved problems for others. Now, this might sound like we are, overflogging this topic, but this is the most important thing you need to take out of this conversation. If you can solve problems, identify problems, solve them, create value, every other thing comes easily. Now, I want to teach us on how to, build and drive value as social entrepreneurs. So I want to give you the tagline as though you're a social entrepreneur, right? There are many things you need to consider, right? But if you do not think about the problem you want to solve, all these other five P's may not be relevant. However, in a bid to solve this problem and to make sure that it is relevant to the people that you are, or this, whatever things you are trying to deal with, you must make sure that one, you are thinking about a people you want to serve. You are trying to build a community around it. Then you are also trying to leverage people's skills to make that happen. That's one. Of course, problem, as I said in this equation, is the most important, but you also need a plan. All right. And we can go into what that looks like, but you need a plan. You need to prioritize. You need to learn how to prototype any solution that you have developed and how to make profit of it. This is a whole journey, a systemic way of dealing with how to develop problems, community mobilization and using that to scale. But the if there's anything you should take from here, it is the fact that If you are able to galvanize people around a problem, have very good planning skills, prioritize one problem per time, create a solution, what we call a prototype, deploy it, then you would gradually begin to see how the profits come in. And for profits, I mean not just money, I'm talking about income, influence, and impact. So, my belief is that you are as valuable as the problems you solve. You are as valuable as the problems you solve. Um, Look at anybody around you today that you really respect so much. Think about it. The reason why you respect them so much is because they are solving a particular problem in that industry, and their value oftentimes increases based on the number of problems they solve. Therefore, I think a great personal development legend would say, I think his name is Jim Rohn. He said, "Do not wish, right, that you had more money. Wish that you got more better." Something like that. I'm paraphrasing. Do not wish that you had more money or had more jobs. Wish that you became better. Because when you become better, you build the capacity to solve whether it's corporate problems, whether it's community problems, whether it's spiritual problems, whether it is financial problems. The fact that you are able to identify it makes you an excellent thinker, but the ability to be able to solve it even makes you more valuable. Why are problems important? Because as a continent and as a people, that is the number one thing we run away from. Meanwhile, that is the gold mine through which some of the greatest people who have jackpot, who are having these opportunities, are really leveraging on. You see, the distraction is that we want to run away from the problem. But the problem is the most important factor that helps in creating value, in building your capacity that now makes you globally relevant. Therefore, the problem is not the problem. The problem is how we see the problem. Okay. The problem is not the problem. The real problem is how we see the problem, our perspective about the problem. And we're going to go into what kind of problems you can solve to begin to make you very relevant in the community and in the world that you live. Look at these leaders, right? I had to do a bit of research, and this is like a trivia, right, for us out here. If this was interactive, I would have asked us, but again, for the sake of the presentation, I'll make it very brief. All these leaders are known for the problems they solve. This is Helen Keller. Helen Keller was born blind, deaf, and dumb. She has written many books. One of the greatest advocates for disability inclusion in the world today. The question that people often ask is, how is it that somebody who is blind, is deaf, and dumb can write a book? And I always tell people, sometimes your greatest pain points are the most important precursors for you to truly be relevant and solve problems for others and go global. Her predicament became a means of transformation into who she is today. Right. Martin Luther King Jr., of course, is known not just because he is a Black American. I think there are many Black Americans in the world, right? He is known because he stood up, right, for the discrimination of the Black people in the US. He is known as one of the core civil rights movements and activists that we've ever had in the world, especially for the Black race, as well as Nelson Mandela, right? When you think of Nelson Mandela, you think of not just a civil rights fighter, but somebody who stood up for a people, who was ready to pay the price for these people. He was in prison for 17 years just for what he believed to be the truth. He fought for equality for Africans, but specifically for South Africa. Now, from the first three people that you see on the screen here, I always tell people, when you look at them, what comes to mind, especially if you know them without their name? It appears that their surname is the problem they solved. So when you think of Helen Keller, the first thing that comes to mind is disability inclusion, right? When you think of Martin Luther, the first thing that comes to mind is civil rights, right? When you think of Nelson Mandela, what comes to mind? Apartheid, right? When you think of Chimamanda Adichie, our own beautiful, lovely, wonderful Nobel laureate, right? What comes to mind? People think of feminism, people think of an author, people think of many things, but she is relevant and known because of um, the courage, to step into the problems that were, as were ravaging the um, anyway, I'll call it the patriarchal system, right? The patriarchal system that wasn't benefiting everyone. She stood up the courage to make sure that she's against it, and she writes in a way to teach and educate a lot of people out there, including you and I, on how best to respect everyone, especially females. And she is very clear about it because it's a personal story for her. But she is known because she has tried and made efforts to solve problems in that space. Mahatma Gandhi is the next person here. When you think about him, you think about peace, right? He lived in an environment where there was so much chaos and conflict. All of these people lived in chaotic, some are still living, of course, Chimamanda is still here, live in a chaotic environment, and they made the best use out of it. Now, the person in that last box is you. Your surname, ideally, in literal term, is of course the name of your parents. But because of the project and the impact on your life calling, your surname should be the problem that you solve. So the question now is, what would you be known for? What problems would you be known to be solving? You won't be known by your titles, you will be known by the causes you helped to solve. And that is why, if you're building businesses and they are not channeled towards specific causes, you will make the money, but it dies when you're gone. And it doesn't have an impact, it doesn't have a significance, it doesn't have a legacy. It takes care of the bills, takes care of the existential needs, but it doesn't really take care of that legacy mindset. What Simon Sinek will talk about, the infinite game, right? What problems can you say you are solving today? And I'm not saying it from the place of Atije Atimu. I feel like human problems are existential, right? What problems are you solving? This is a particular model I want to introduce us to. And this model basically teaches you how to think about problems. As I said, the problem is not the problem itself, it's how you see the problem, our worldview and perspective about it. Without problems, you can't have solutions. Without solutions, you can't create value. And without value, you can't make impact or even make income. The interesting thing about this equation is that the most important factor or variable in this four equation is the P factor, which is the problem. Therefore, every business, every congregation, every church, every school, every government, everything that you can ever think of as a matrix or as a product of the society is actually designed to solve a problem. And I always tell people that the real reason why we are running away from this problem is because we have not built the capacity to be able to solve them. Right. The things that we are really very passionate about are the things that we have built capacity for. But what if the greatest success factor, the greatest asset and wealth that you would ever need in life comes from the greatest problem that you are bedeviled with? What if? What if the greatest blessings that we have as a people in Africa and in Nigeria specifically are the problems we are facing? What if we are actually going to be the greatest nation when we start thinking about these problems from a opportunity mindset rather than from a fatalistic mindset? Um, Again, we know the Asians, right? One of the things that makes them really unique is the fact that they are quickly able to identify opportunities. But they don't just see those opportunities, they see problems first because they know that these problems are relevant to create opportunities. And as I said, if you can change your mindset around any problem you go through in life, be it personal problem, financial problems, economic problems, marital problems, spiritual problems, just think about it for once, right? Understand that problems are a gift. Problems are a gift. They are important because without it, you can't build capacity. And the more you stretch in solving problems, the better you are creating value. Hence, problems lead to solution. It always follows that equation. Solutions are what create astronomical value. And when you create so much value for people and the community and the world you serve, you make so much impact and you make so much income. In fact, that is how you create wealth over time. So the problem or the question or the pose I want to, pose to you today is, what problems are you solving? What and whom are you solving for? We all need to go back and sit down with our businesses, for those who have it, to really be clear about the problems we're solving and decide whether they are truly problems or they're the problems that we have assumed that they are. One thing I've learned about great problems is the fact that if you solve little problems, you get little solutions. And oftentimes you get little value and you create little impact. But when you solve systemic problems, you are able to create astronomical solutions. And when you solve for great problems, you have so much value that comes with that. And of course, when you have so much value, people pay you. You are looked for globally. Um, you would join accelerators, you would be given fellowships, you'll be given grants, you'll be given funds, and all of that, right? So, the question I want to pose to you is, have you identified one major problem that if you showed up as Yinka, if you showed up as Fidelis, if you showed up as Bola, your surname will not be identified by the name that was given to you by your parents? It will be identified by the problem you're solving. If you have not gotten to the point where they can say your second name is a particular cause or a problem you're solving, you may still have a lot of work to do. All right. So that is the thinking. And that is actually what makes this happen. And I always tell people, to build systems, there are processes, but first and foremost, there are ways of thinking about it, because that's what makes it very efficient in the first place. My profile was read, and I'm so grateful for that opportunity. But I humbly want to say that I have delved into many community development problems, from health, from unemployment, from education to disability inclusion to climate change to gender equity problems. I have delved into those things. And working in those areas, I built so much capacity. And I always tell people, you don't even need to be so good at it. You just need to expose yourself to those problems. Start with the heart of service and wanting to volunteer in that area, right? Your job is not to quickly make money. Your job is to build capacity to be able to solve those problems so well that you can command respect, command value, and command income. I always tell people, do not run away from the problem. Great Uber King, God rest his soul, would say, um, the way out of the trouble is through the trouble. The way out of that problem is through the problem. And oftentimes, the tendency for us is always to have the disposition of, avoiding the problem or running away from it. But guess what? All the people that you ever respect today are people who have delved deeply into solving problems that really matter. Now, for the sake of context and to give us a tool book, especially for those who don't know where to start, how to start, what to do, this is one of the smartest way to position either your idea as a problem solving enterprise, which makes you a social enterprise or makes you a social entrepreneur. Because one, you're not just solving any kind of problems, you're solving social problems, cultural problems, and environmental problems, right? um, the quality of the problems you solve will determine the quality of the solution you will get. And that solution oftentimes leads to the value that you will create, and the value leads to the income and to the impact. A lot of us are solving problems that are not really relevant. And that is why we're probably not scaling, and that's why we're probably not making the kind of income we want to make, and we're probably not going global. We're not having access to all these opportunities, all this funding, all this project. We're not having the best of customers. We're not having great retention, all of those things, right? It's probably because we're not solving the right problems. I want to challenge you today, when you have the time, spend time reading the Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations. Let me introduce it to you for those who do not know what it is. It is a framework for development in the world. So when you study these problems, any social problem that you're dealing with, in some way, your business is solving one of these 17 goals. Trust me, in some way, your framework is solving one of this. Your job is now to study the 17 goals and read the 149 targets. For me, I always tell people, once you're able to write your, narrative around this framework, it makes life a lot easier. You know, Someone rightly said that if you want to hide anything from a black man, right, where'd you hide it? We all know what it is, right? I don't want to say it, but we need to start learning how to research and read. We need to start learning how to research and read. I tell people there is nothing new under the sun. Success has trademarks, success has blueprints. Your job is to understand it, research it, and reverse engineer it for your own context. Now, let's say, for instance, no poverty, which is problem number one, right? Goal number one of the Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations. Basically, this was a program that was developed by the UN for the world to solve most of our world's most important problems. But the thing is, people are solving problems that has nothing to do with any of this. Therefore, it remains local. And they're solving for people that are in that local environment who may or may not be able to pay them. But when you are able to channel that local problem you're solving and connect it to the sustainable development goals, you start going global. This is what has worked for me and many of my peers and many of my friends. Thankfully, people understand that this is a framework, but not many people are taking time to go and study it. So I would ask and challenge you, please take time, go and study the 17 sustainable development goals and read the 149 targets. So for each goal, there are targets. They have broken it down. Your job is, if you're a career coach, if you're a mindset consultant, if you're a business consultant, if you're a podcaster, if you're a writer, if you're a broadcaster, if you're a pastor, whatever it is, your job is to spend time to study each of these goals, understand the targets they are trying to hit, and design a social impact project around it, specifically using this. But one thing I always tell people is don't just pick any goal because you want to pick one. Make sure that the goal ties into your values. For me, I'm very particular about goal 4, which is quality education, goal 8, which is decent jobs and economic empowerment, and of course, health, right? Now, I design sustainable solutions with an organization, with my startup, with my nonprofit around these 3 core goals. I go and read the targets for each of them and design, because this is a well researched document that the UN has, trust me, they know what they're doing, right? They have seen the problem, they know it systemically. Your job is to take some time to study the targets and know how you can leverage that, then use that to create a sustainable project or a program around your business and use it to scale. So I would challenge you to just pick one of the goals and solve for one of the targets. Start with that exercise. Now, in the context of positioning, right? I think it was Steve Harris. Thank you very much, Steve Harris. He said something really powerful. I think in his speech yesterday, he talked about he used the allegory of the phone, yeah, where if you're positioned in a particular way, you can't move beyond what you're positioned. But once you change your position, right, you are able to pivot around that. I oftentimes tell people that if you want to be positioned for opportunities, whether it's global, whether it's whatever it is you are looking for, whether it's money, whether it's friends, whether it's fame, whether it's network, whether it's more access to opportunities, whether it's traveling out. Thankfully, a good number of people have done this and they have seen it all. But one thing I have always, realized is if you are known as a person who solves problems for people, you would always be consulted. People would pay you. People would want to work with you. People want to be your friend. People will recognize you for it. Now, it is important that you don't just solve any kind of problem. It is important that you think about the problems that are systemic, what some of my friends will call ogun delay problems, which are problems that have deep roots. Now, oftentimes people are like, how do I do it? I'm like, identify one problem, use the SDGs to do that. That's the first thing you need to do. Then create a social innovation. So I'll define that. A social innovation is something you create that is specific for that problem you have identified. And as I said, please, I don't want to mention it. There are a lot of them. There's health. You can go into health. You can go into education. You can go into gender equity. You can go into unemployment. You can go into climate awareness. You can go into poverty alleviation. You can go into. There are many of them. For some of us in this sector, we have not seen, we do many things, but we are not able to really identify what sector we are working in, right? So I always tell people, if you're not clear, use the SDGs as a framework and begin to use it to position yourself, right? Now, when you're able to, hit one of the targets, you automatically create a social innovation. Now, that social innovation is what you now have in your company. Let's say, for instance, you run a consulting firm that helps people with HR services. Good. How about helping creating recruitment opportunities for persons with disabilities? Now, that is a unique intervention, even as a HR consultant, right? You're a broadcaster who consistently is helping people with communication, strategies. You a presenter, you are paid 9 to 5, right? How about going into communication for development? How about storytelling for underrepresented entrepreneurs in low income communities? You see, the same thing you're doing, but you're thinking about a systemic problem around it. That is what creates a social innovation. You're a medical practitioner, you're a doctor, right? How about even in your 9 to 5 by the side, after your 9 to 5 rather by the side, building an app. Let's say you're into ops and guy, right? Build an app that helps, mothers in low income communities have access to quality care. That is a different ball game entirely, right? The problem is most of us are doing the normal thing and we're not thinking outside of the box. And I always tell people, rural is the future. Rural is the future. Think about rural problems, solve for it, and people would look for you. Look at the reports, the UN, the World Bank, the US, USAID. These guys are not joking. There are billions of dollars that goes into businesses, into non-profits, into enterprises, into startups that are solving social and systemic problems. And even if you're a teacher, right? You can be teaching and doing your 9 to 5 job. But how about, creating a platform that connects people that do not have access to school or to literacy and giving them some access to it. I have a friend who came up with the idea of SMS, right? The truth is we can't go into what those problems look at, but the fact is pretty clear. As at last year or last 2 years, the literacy rate of most kids in the literacy rate in our country, at least I think it depleted by another 20%. It used to be about I'm not sure 8 million out of school kids, yeah, but now I think it's about 12 million out of school kids. What that means is that there are at least 12 million children who do not know how to read, write, comprehend, or even speak, right? Now, what that does is that is almost a population. Do you know what it means to be able to read, write? You are able to dream. As I say, education is the most important instrument that we can use to change the world. What we have done is by those kids not having access to education, we have literally limited their ability to dream, the ability to fulfill their highest potential simply because they don't have access to education. If you now, as a teacher, for instance, create an opportunity for these people to have access, you are not just doing the main thing, you are creating social innovation for that particular sector. So as I said, my friend, he came up with an SMS. Some of these kids, all they had was their phones, right? He would go use the SMS MTN that was then, and he would always send messages to these kids, of course, through their parents, and they would read some things in their local dialect, which gradually started giving them opportunity to be educated in their local dialect. Then the next thing was he leveraged on local broadcasting stations to have a 30-minute show where he, the curriculum that happens in the main school, he took it out of the school and created a program for the whole year and was teaching it online, right? Today, the UN identified him, worked with him, scaled that impact, and he helped to reduce that the population of kids in that particular community from where they are, and a lot of them are in school right now. There's a guy, his name is Otto Orondam, Slums to School, right? Otto Orondam is a very intelligent, smart, amazing person. We can Google him, right? But you need to see the great things he's doing out there, right? He takes kids, orphaned kids who do not have access to education, leverages community building, which is the second aspect of this, yeah? Leverages community building, gather resources, and create an alternative learning platform, an institution and a school for them so that they don't miss out on what is going on in the mainstream. My point is, you need to think outside of the box. To think outside of the box, you need to be someone who is consistent thinking about problems, not problems as a way to be weighed down, but problems as a way to innovate. Three, study models. If you do not know where to start, go and study people. So let's say you are very particular about education, go and study models of people who have been creative. There are many of them across the world. That's what social entrepreneurship is about, right? You see some in your country, you see some in India, in America, there are thousands of them. If you want to solve problems around healthcare, what are the out of box enterprise startups that have come up with innovative solution? Study, adapt. There is nothing new under the sun. Study, adapt, and contextualize it to your business, to the problems of your local community, and begin to think about how to make it global. Number four, have a clear vision for global deployment. If you solve for a community, trust me, there are at least 1 million persons who have that problem. Fact. Why? Human beings are not inherently different. We are different maybe on gender, by, race, by height, by voice, by parenting, by cultural affiliation, by nation. That's okay. But the human fundamental needs are inherently not different. The need for food, the need for clothing, shelter, the need to build psychosocial safety, the need for, to be confident, the need to be loved, the need to be appreciated, the need to fulfill our highest, most needed passions. The need, it's the same across board, right? So if you can solve for a particular customer segment or for a particular set of beneficiaries in a community using your business model, you would be addressing the problem that can be scaled, right? I always tell people, once you're solving, think about your community and the thousands of people who can benefit from that solution, because once you are rightly positioned, it will be scaled at that level. So whatever it is you're doing right now, think about the rural community and think about how to leverage the SDGs to solve for the community. um, Number four, no, number five rather, document and build a digital portfolio. We live in an age where technology is ruling, right? I tell people, if you're not online, you might probably not benefit the highest level of globalization that is going on. Globalization right now is not even something that is happening offline, it's happening online. We can see it. Virtually everybody is online, right? Um, your job, first and foremost, is because for you to attract the right kind of people, you must have your digital portfolio intact, right? Do you have a website? Invest in it. Do you have a good social media page? Make sure it is, you have a good personal brand online. What stories are you, telling about the problems you're solving? All right. Online, when you post, do you just go and comment on Insta blog and all those things? I mean, that's fine. It's good to go and have fun and get the latest news. But how are you spending your time? You should be spending time building things that would last, not things that would, consume your time. Right? Build and document your impact. So the process is, if you find a problem, talk about it consistently, consistently, consistently. That's how you build a brand around a business, around a now, the worry is that most of us in this age, we're always selling the solution, selling the services to people, and people don't get it, right? If you consistently talk about the problem and you're talking about the problem and you're talking about the problem, you'll begin to get people's attention, and they realize that this person is good at what they do. Then they'll come to you for the solution because they know you have the solution, right? So you need to create a way and a platform that helps you do that. You can leverage on Instagram, you can leverage on LinkedIn, you can leverage on Facebook. Just choose one platform, even on X or Twitter, right? Choose one platform where you're consistently documenting and educating people on that problem. But more importantly, for every project that you do, make sure that you document it. Write a report, because these are the things that you're going to use when you start applying, because we're going to get to the part of application, right? You're going to need pictures, stories, and text to be able to use to apply for these opportunities, right? Like Dr. Triple A is doing an amazing job right now. We talked about it. I was like, Dr. Triple A, let's leverage LinkedIn, YouTube rather, because they are going to be there forever, right? It's a proof of concept that Dr. Triple A is solving one of the human most important problems, the problem of unlocking our human potential and businesses, right? Depending on whatever it is he wants to position for, and even for all the speakers, by the way, you can leverage on what you have done on this platform to go global. They are all proof of concepts, they're all your track record, right? And that's why I'm always very big on people leveraging and being able to document and build a digital portfolio. For some people, they have websites, which is good, but you need to also digitalize all the projects you do, pictures. You need to be able to create a folder for that. So I have a folder on my Google Drive where I have timed everything. So whenever I do a project, I write a report for it, whether it's published or not. I mean, I'm not in the news. I don't really go to news media people to know, but I create the news for myself write, the report, put the pictures. If there's a video, I cover it and put a folder there. That's there. Whenever I do a training, I do a workshop and all of that, I create a folder for that. Document your impact. If you are a business person and you've really solved the problem for a client in a particular way, document their testimonials, right? Collect them. You will need them when the time is right. There's a particular friend of mine who wanted to apply for this visa in the US. I'm not sure, is it EB1? I'm not quite sure of that visa, but it's a visa specifically for highly talented people. And one of the things that they really needed was a proof that he's somebody that is high potential. And the only way he could leverage that or to use that opportunity was to go and collect all the things he has done in the past that he documented, and he presented them. As they say, um, the end of every debate is evidence. So you must have evidence, because this is the part where now you can begin to scale. Because when people see that you have a track record in that area, they want to work with you. They want to invite you for something. They want to give you fellowship. They want to give you money. They want you to go global, right? Because you are really the person positioned for that. Number six here is have a grant and global opportunity calendar. So I have a list of grants and opportunities that I apply for whenever the time is right, right? Create, if you really want to tap into these opportunities, you need to be intentional about it. Have a calendar that helps you leverage that. There are so many grant platforms, and I'm going to share the resources here as well. Go in there. The moment you have created a social innovation, whether within your business or even as a non-profit, as for profit, as a cleric, as an individual. I have somebody who came up with a book project, right? All she was doing was she was creating a safe space for young women who have been abused to come and read healthy, positive mindset books, right? And that was all she was doing. She's been invited all over the UN. Her name is Awai Jofo. She creates a safe space for women who have been abused, and today she's all over the world, right? Doing great stuff. Social innovation, smart way of solving problems that really creates impactful value. So you need to be able to be intentional and make sure that you know that, okay, based on this network and this niche I'm working in, I'm going to create a calendar for opportunities, and maybe weekly, monthly, apply for one. I always tell people, plan and review your applications with a mentor. There are people who have gone ahead of you who understand this game, right? Connect with them on LinkedIn, reach out to them. All you need from them is just basically to help you review your application, and hopefully you'll be able to get in. There are thousands of them, but the funny thing is that you don't hear about them because these boys are cashing out big time, right? They don't need. The only time you see them making noise is when they're talking about the problem. But when the rewards are coming, you don't really hear. Some you hear, right? Some you see the news and all of that, and you be wondering, how is it that this person is getting the fellowship, is getting a scholarship, is getting the grant, is getting all of that. There's this friend, you might know him, Dr. Izzy Deremi, Help Mom, right? Help Mom is a platform that helps moms, basically, especially women who are pregnant, and gives them quality care, create alternative models of care for them, and connect them to quality healthcare so that they can deliver safely. He's evolved over the years, right? And he is at the spotlight. I'm so grateful because he's always sharing the story online. Such an amazing young man, and all of that. There are models out there you can study, and you can use that to tweak your business and begin to go global. As I say, at the end of the day, when you have packaged all of this, when you have your story, when you have your social innovation, when you have your vision, when you have your digital portfolio, when you have those opportunities and you have them all detailed, and you have reviewed with a mentor, apply, apply, and apply. The greatest disservice that most people do is never to apply, and they're always worried of rejection. I always tell people, apply. Unless you ask, you may never receive, right? If you want to apply for a visa to travel abroad, you need to apply. If you want to go speak in a conference, you need to apply. Learn how to embrace the culture of applying for things, right? But the thing about application is that people don't go prepared, right? You have to learn how to go prepared. You have to learn how to go prepared. And finally, it's a game of numbers. One thing I have learned from my experience as someone in the social impact space and as well in the HR space is the fact that I need personally needed to build a resilience that comes from receiving a lot of rejection mails, until I was grateful that one day it dawned on me that, dude, this thing is a game of numbers, is nothing personal. The moment you are able to understand that it's a game of numbers, you will keep firing. Because for every 10, at least you will get one opportunity. For every 100, at least you get one opportunity. So the point is, how hungry do you want this? How hungry do you want to be positioned? How hungry are you to be global, even while solving local problems? Right? Because the world is globalized, whether we like it or not. I'm speaking right from Germany and connecting to everyone. Some of you are probably watching this from your rooms, from your phone. It's won already. The question is, how hungry are you to achieve your highest dreams? For some people, it is leveraging the global platform, right? So it's a game of numbers. Please use these strategies and you're good to go. As I said, there are many benefits to accessing global opportunities. It comes in different forms, in different ways. But number one here, which is just a joke, is that you will shame your village people. And I don't mean it like that. What I mean is that people will be proud of you, especially for some of us from the African continent. People want to celebrate with you, right? People want you to succeed. People genuinely care about your success, right? And therefore, when you're not making the necessary effort, to grow and be successful, and for me to be significant, people are worried, right? And we think there are some village people that are against our destinies and all of that. Sometimes what we call village people problems are just knowledge problems, right? They're just knowledge gaps and actions that we've not taken, right? So think about it from that. You have access to professional development when you are able to leverage the right networks. You would have a change in perspective. You would build a powerful network. You would learn a new culture. You have access to international jobs. For some people, they have the opportunity to have citizenship. Steve Harris came yesterday and told of his story and how he left, right? These are people who are solving for the world. Even though they had solved for Africa, they knew that this same solution I'm providing for these people, if there is a need for it out there, right? Your job is understand that problem, be a master of that problem, be able to articulate it so well that if they wake you up in the middle of the night, you know exactly the facts, the figures, the stories around that problem, and then tweak to create a social innovation around it, and you begin to go global. So there are many opportunities, so just a few of them. It's the season for applications. For some of you who are very interested, the work now is for you to sit down and begin to apply. um, but again, before you start applying, make
We're ready.
sorry,
I said we're ready.
you're ready to I'm rounding off now. I'm rounding off so that we know the season is now. The point is you want to do all you can to make sure that you package your portfolio, package your social innovation, which come in any way. It can even be a project that you develop from your business, right? But make sure that it's well packaged, is well harnessed, and get ready to start applying. Um, Crafting a winning application. I train people on this on how to do it. Again, as a personal way to a shameless plug, I do a lot of career coaching, CV writing, personal development training, mindset coaching as well. But more importantly, at the professional level, I help with designing high impact learning and development interventions for organizations. So, one core thing I have been very excited about is helping people who want to apply for jobs, for scholarships, for grants, for fellowships, and all of these things to come up with a very great, um, I won't say just great, a very success driven proposal for any of those things, right? And one way I have understood this, and it has worked for many people, especially my friends and my clients, is the fact that they are good at storytelling. All right. As I said, when you have been able to articulate the problem, create a solution around it, create immense value, and make impact, you'll be able to tell the story of that. I always tell people, make sure that whatever intervention you're creating has a personal connection to you, or you are telling the story of someone else, right? But again, this is an art. There's an art to telling the story. And I'm not just saying story from once upon a time there was no. You tell the story of the impact you're making in the world. Check out any business that is really successful today. Their storytelling is on point. Leaders, coaches, business owners, we must learn how to tell stories that truly impact. Because the moment we're able to tell stories about the problem and tell stories about the people going through that problem, we are always seen as the right persons to solve that problem. Number two, use metrics whenever you start those applications. Don't just say, I solved this problem around. No, say, I solved the problem of, let's say, unemployment for 20,000 youth across Oyo State in 54 local government area who do not have access to quality education through literacy and all of that. Use metrics, right? Demography, numbers, data, fact. That would always help you win. Identify your why and connect it to the organization's what. People that are asking you to apply know why they're asking you to apply. So if you're working, let's say, in the human capital development space and you zone it down into quality education, let's say what you do is consulting and coaching for people, you can create a social innovation around that for highly underserved people. It's still your business, but you create a social innovation around that and then look for organizations that are willing to fund such projects. Fellowships, project, business deals, facilitation, speaking opportunities will come out in that process. Your job is connect your why to their why. You're good to go. Write in simple but emotional language. Um, Again, it's all about knowing how to write, right? But there's a way you communicate. Some of the communications experts will understand what I'm talking about, right? You must be able to tell. It goes down to what I said. You must be an artist. You must be able to tell a story. You must be able to connect both to the head and to the hearts of those that you are trying to influence and yeah. And therefore, these are some. I'm rounding off right now. These are some online resources that you can leverage. Profellow.com. If you go there, you will find scholarships. Right. Please, guys, whatever it is you want to do in this life, if you want to further your education, there are opportunities out there. Do not be limited by what you see. Research, read, and you will find information. Seek, you will find. Knock, it shall be open to you. All right. You must make sure that you go to these platforms. Profellow.com is one. Opportunity Desk, you have funding opportunities, you have scholarships, you have fellowships. These are curated platforms where they're always advertising these things, right? DVEX is a development platform, right? You will be able to, for some of you who are working in the intersection of both public, private, and non-profit sector, you would find that very interesting. For some people working in the non-profit sector, you find it interesting. Funds for non-profits as well is a good one. Funds for NGOs, you will find a lot of resources there. So feel free to maybe take a picture of this. Youth Up for those who are looking for opportunities in that regard. OY opportunities and many more. I can't list all of them here. You would find opportunities, then you begin to understand what I'm talking about. When you see their criteria and what they're asking for, you will now begin to see, whoa, so this is what Fidelis is talking about, right? You can still use your business and create a social innovation out of it. That's the most important thing. Once you're able to do that, you're good to go. Thank you very much. I am so grateful for this opportunity. I want to, end on this note and again remind us that at the end of the day, the opportunities you're looking for is right in front of you. If you have a phone, you can access it. Your job is build capacity to solve the problem that really matters, leverage on the sustainable development goals, use the targets, build a social innovation, create a community around it, start applying. When you do these things, what we call luck will become a way of life for you. I am a testimony of that reality. And I'm not the most perfect, I'm not the most eloquent, I don't even know. But I understand my life's problem. I understand the problems I'm solving. I know how to articulate it for those who care. And I'm able to build a compelling proposal that makes that happen. And therefore, I'm able to get into this fellowship, get into this grant, get into this fellow because they know exactly what problems I'm solving. So the question is, what problems are you solving? What solution are you bringing to the world? What value are you creating? What impact are you making? Because only when you think about these four metrics is your potential to really, really go global. Thank you very much. This is Fidelis, and I'm done speaking. Thank you very much.
Wow, 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 wow. Can we give Fidelis a digital? Let's just give Fidelis a digital and clap anywhere that you are, ladies and gentlemen. Let's just celebrate him. My side, I'm just like clapping. I'm just like clapping. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much, Fidelis. Honestly, this is wow. I mean, I'm going to definitely come back to this again and release it again. I'm telling you,
Right.
I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that, obviously, because like I said to myself, I'm going to sit down. I'm going to sit with each of the sessions each day, and I'm going to come with my journal, and I'm going to sit down again and listen all over. Because the truth be told, there's nothing that you hear. Yeah, there's nothing that you hear that you're going to you think you hear once. No, 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 you don't.
Yeah.
You have to release it and all that. Yeah, Fidelis, they're asking you to share your social media handle. So maybe you forward that to me, or you
Okay.
share with us now, or whatever it is you want to share with us. Please share your social
Well,
media handle with us.
it's very easy. Just Google Fidelis Uzoma. That's I think that's the name. So I'm happy to share it. So on LinkedIn is Fidelis Uzoma. Uzoma. Ọmọ Igbo ni mi, but mo gbọ́ Yoruba, so we are one. All right. So no problem, no problem, no problem. Fidelis Uzoma
Okay.
is the LinkedIn. Yeah. On Instagram is Fidelis Uzoma. You'll probably see a platform there where I curate content, micro contents, bite-sized content, just to remind people on the essentials. That's what I do on Instagram. Instagram is for Insta things. You don't talk too much story there. Just give them soft, sweet, and brief. Right. So Instagram is also where I'm very particular. I'm also very big on that platform as well. I won't say big, but I think I'm pretty decent there. Number three is Facebook. The same thing, Fidelis Bonaventure. I'm there on Twitter, the same name. Yeah, so the name would probably pop up. Hopefully, you'll see one Black Panther who is always there, just trying to, do his thing, his little thing, and all of that. Right.
Beautiful. Okay,
Yeah.
so I'm putting it in the comment section.
Yep.
Is We have that IG. Sorry,
Yeah.
yes,
IG is at
Instagram.
yes, the same name
Instagram is
also.
still Fidelis, right?
Yes, Fidelis Uzoma. Um, yeah.
Okay, beautiful. Okay, all right, we got that. Beautiful. So yeah, that's gone into the comment section.
Great.
All right. So thank you very much, Fidelis. Honestly, thank you so much. I'm going to ask that you please. Of course, I'm going to still take your slides. So, but
Yeah.
because the place where the resources are, we're going
Right.
to. We're going
Yeah.
to have to share on the platform for people to
Yeah.
see.
Yeah.
Yes.
I can
Yeah.
do that.
Okay. Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Honestly, this session, honestly, one way or the other, the way God does things for me is just awesome. Okay, so somebody wants to ask a question. Yes, question. Okay, somebody says I would love to connect with you through Dr. Alfred soon for some questions
Cool.
and guidance. Okay, no problem. That's no problem. Somebody says question. Yes, please drop your question. If you have question, drop your question. We need to release Fidelis. Fidelis has actually been talking for
Mhm.
over an hour. Can you believe it? So, I mean,
Yeah.
that's a lot
Sorry.
of money if
I
you know
had.
what that is.
I know, and also did not. I wanted to make sure that the information that are relevant for people are shared, because I think that we may not have to act on it now, but it's good that people start thinking in that regard, because it is a
Yeah,
system that has worked for many people, but people oftentimes do not look at that area. Trust me,
yeah,
80% of all the
yeah.
people that I know are going global understand this thing I shared with you, but
Mm,
very few of them share them. And that's why I tell people, while
mm,
you're building your business, make sure you're building systems that helps you go global. Now, going global doesn't necessarily mean that you have to
mm,
travel. You can travel, it comes with that, but it also creates that
mm,
opportunity for you to impact locally and globally. And if you want to
mm,
travel as well, there is a system to do that. And it's a way of thinking, it's a way of solving problems, as I said. But again, this is over nuanced, and sometimes people lose it. But that is the secret.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I totally get it. And when I was talking about the fact that you had talked for over an hour, I was not berating you actually. I was saying that you had dished out over an hour of value. That was what I was saying. And and if we were to translate that into how much is it? What's the currency in Germany again? It's a lot of money. So
Yeah,
and then,
it's
like
euros. Yeah,
I said, a lot of people, honestly, a lot of people are going all over the world, and this is exactly what I've been thinking about in the past for a while now. That we need to be very strategic, even if you're going to relocate or reposition, whatever the word is that we want to use, not japa. We need to ensure that we're doing it strategically and doing it properly. And now you just came and you said, you know what, the best way is to come up and actually do that with the social entrepreneurship idea, and
yeah,
making sure that we come up with a plan for impact. We can take a
correct.
local problem to solve a global problem. If once we start from the beginning, like I always say, whatever you are building, don't build. In fact, that's exactly what I always say. That do not build. Don't. If you know that your future plan is a skyscraper, don't lay the foundation of a bungalow.
Mm, wow,
You know,
wow.
and that's it, we need to start thinking that way. So I mean, so where people will berate us and say, why is your foundation taking so much time? You're digging too deep, you're laying the
Right.
roots, you're doing all that, you're putting the structure, you're doing all that, but everybody's looking like you. What's wrong with this person? Why are you still building? We have finished our houses since you are foundation. What's your problem? But it's because they don't see the future, and that's exactly what it is. We need to start to think, like you said, to think future terms, 10 years, 20 years. Where am I going
Correct.
to what am I going to do with this business? Am I thinking global? If I'm thinking global, then let me start thinking social entrepreneurship alongside my business. So thank you
Correct.
so much. Okay, yeah. So Blessing Agoro says, have a school in a village that I and my friends fully pay for all the bills to help the children go to school. They have never attended school before. How do we connect to this grant? Okay, that's that she says that's my question.
Yeah.
Well, before Fidelis talks, I believe that he has already said that he's going to he's shared some resources that I'm going to also collect from him and we'll share on the group. Yeah, so that you could actually. He talked about opportunity desk. He talked about some other stuff that we could actually access, and he said this is the what
Yeah.
did you call it?
The
The
mainstream platforms for international opportunities, grants, funding,
Yeah,
fellowships. So start with
uh-huh.
Opportunity Desk. That is a good one. Opportunity Desk.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I'll
she's saying
probably you'll send, yeah.
to gain. So okay, so yeah, okay. All right. So that's great. So blessing, start from somewhere. Just start it, and like he said,
Yeah.
of course, I know that when the time comes, he's a very busy person, but we should be able to get him to help us out with one or two things. You get what you're doing.
I,
Already, I'm thinking of some things myself, so we know we'll
yeah.
be on his neck.
Can I just say just give a quick 1 minute answer to that question? Is that possible?
Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. So what you're doing, blessing, right? Is that the correct? Yeah. I
Yeah, that's
think
it. Yeah.
what Yes, what you're doing is immensely beautiful and powerful, and I think you're already on the journey. Now, do not confuse social entrepreneurship with NGO, right? NGOs or non-profit organizations, right? Um, Always, especially philanthropic non-profits or charities, they depend on funding from people to solve their problems. Social entrepreneurship uses business models to solve NGO problems or humanitarian
Mm,
problems.
mm, mm.
Good. And that is why I said that when you understand that model, it is the using of business skills, customer retention, writing an excellent business plan, having a good marketing strategy, and all of those things. But instead of trying to make profits, your goal is to make impact. But because you have a sustainability model around it, you will naturally attract funding. So in your case, um, I want to understand the context of the problem again. She says she creates an alternative learning school for underserved people. I want to be sure of that. Do you mind? Yeah. I have a school in a village that I and my friends fully pay for all the bills to help the child go to school. They have never attended school before. Good. So this in itself is philanthropic, which is good, but it's not a social project. It's not a social enterprise, right? What you can do, for instance, in something like this is to create a crowdfunding platform where, okay, leverage technology, you connect with um, people who want to donate to kids like yours, one, they get something in return, whatever that looks like, and they pay for being on that service, right? But guess what? You are impacting the lives of those kids. You are impacting the lives of them, the people that are giving to them, and it's a win-win-win. All right. So for some people you can use, of course you will leverage, of course, donation for that, but that's not the core. The core is that you understand the problem that you're trying to solve. So if the kid is not going to school, right, it might not just be an education problem, right? It could be a confidence problem, it could be a parental issue. You have to solve systemically. One thing I can please ask you to do is, when you're free, go and study design thinking. All right. Because design thinking would help you understand the real problems you're meant to be solving. I'm not saying that going to school is not the problem of the child, but if you want to get the best outcome for that child and for the many more like that child, you need to understand the root cause of that problem. And that's how you begin to design models around it and create a sustainability platform around that. Now, once you're able to craft that and you can make impact in that in the life of that child, that is what you now use as a story, as a portfolio to begin to access grants, fellowships, funding from many organizations, right? Meanwhile, you still have your sustainability model, but you're still also accessing all those opportunities because that's how you are able to really make impact, make income, and make an influence.
Awesome, awesome. That's great. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. All right, we really need to go. We really need to go. It's been an amazing time, and I'm telling you, yes. So, bless you, you got it. That's design thinking. So make sure you go get that done, and that'll be great. Fidelis, thank you so much, brother. You know, I've got much love for you. Thank you. I appreciate you a
Thank you
lot.
so much.
Thank you for taking the time, all this time, to explain and talk and everything. You have explained. I'm telling you, you have done us a huge service, and I'm so excited because when I was inspired with the idea for Business Owners Conference, this was part of what I was thinking about. That we want this situation, and I was telling some of my team earlier
Yeah,
that look, I'm my prayer is that at the end of this conference, you guys are going to go to the next level. Everybody's going to change. Everybody's changing. Things are working. No more
right.
stories like, no, we're stuck. No, 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 no. Disruptions. And that's what
Disruption.
I've been saying. Yeah, disruptions. Yeah. So now the thoughts are changing. Now we're thinking in new ways. Now
Yeah,
the ideas are there. Now what we need to do is to get down, sit down, and like the speaker before you said, he said
yeah.
to me, he said, when he said to me yesterday, and he said to me, he said, happy birthday, doc. He said, you know what? Now it's time to do more. That's what he told me. He said, yeah, I'm telling you, that's what he told me. He said, happy birthday. Now it's time to do more. I'm telling you.
Right.
And another friend from sent me a message when I shared with him the concept of BOC. And the first thing he
Yeah.
said to me was, he sent me, of course, a lot of stuff. And he said, he ended the whole story, what he told me, with what if we could make 2024 the greatest year in the history of humanity? I said,
Wow.
wow. I said, wow. You know, I'm surrounded with people that the way they think, he choke. He choke.
Joke.
I'm telling you.
Out
I
of
mean,
space
you're like,
thinking. Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
So and this is exciting. And then you come with this today. I celebrate you a lot, and I'm really grateful. Thank you so much. Of course,
Thank you,
I
sir.
will be on your DM. I will be I will be on your DM.
Always happy. Thank you very much, Dr.
and
Tripoli,
and
for
and all
having
that.
me.
Thank you
It was such a pleasure,
for your
and
time.
I'm grateful for
Thank you.
that time
Thank
and
you.
for the opportunity to
Yeah.
be part and parcel of this.
Yeah.
Happy birthday to you, and wishing everybody
Thank
success
you.
in your enterprise.
Thank you.
The goal is not just to be successful, but to be significant. And again,
Yes.
do
Yes.
not forget
Yes.
the your location doesn't have to determine your restrictions, right?
Yes.
You can be significant and be successful anywhere as far as you're ready and you have the product, you have the service, and you're willing to import it. Just make sure the product is quality. Once it's quality, you're good to go. But thank you very much. I
Awesome.
appreciate it, and
Awesome. Thank you.
have a very good night. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Fidelis. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. I
All right.
appreciate you. All
All right.
right. Thank you. And I love
Bye.
what you said. The goal is to be significant. Thank you, brother.
Yes.
That's it.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
Cheers, everyone. Thank you. This is the end. Yeah, bye, Fidelis. This is the end, ladies and gentlemen. This is the end of Business Owners Conference 2024 1.0. Doing business in deep waters. When you change the world, did you get something? Wasn't that amazing? I mean, all the sessions, all that. Do me a favor, make sure you come back, listen, watch, rewatch, come back with your pen, come back with your journals, and make sure you're changing your life. Remember, the responsibility to change your life is in your hands. You, God has made you the creator of your own destiny. So change things, do amazing things yourself. I look forward to seeing you next time. Next year, we're going to be back. But of course, on my channel, I will come occasionally with professionals like this. We're having professionals to come up and we're having discussions live on Dr. Alfred Adeni Atiba channel. We're going to be discussing amazing things, opportunities for businesses and all that. I'll see you later. Okay, thank you so much. Bye for now. Let's go get some shut eye and then let's go walk with what we learned. See you. Bye.